Hello and welcome to the Fascinating Authors Radio Show. This is Penny Sansevieri, and I'm here today with Julie Rossetti, author of Diabetes Can Be Sweet Once You Bury It. Julie, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Penny.
Why is it that so many people feel overwhelmed by getting their diabetes in control?
Because you can't really control diabetes. You can really only mentally bury it, and it's very exhausting if you're trying to chase it around. But you can live like you don't have diabetes with the right healthy lifestyle plan.
There's a lot of conflicting information out there on diabetes. How does someone sort of sift through that?
I think it's important to look for the right type of diabetes education. And what I teach my clients is very unique and individualized. We have a lot of fun at the same time, and I never use a fear-based education. Instead, we focus on them, not the disease. And it's been working and been highly effective for quite a while.
Now, so you do work with clients sort of one-on-one, and you yourself buried diabetes, correct?
Correct. I did over 29 years ago now.
How did you first get started? I mean, how did you first decide to take that under control?
I really decided because it was such a mental issue, and the label diabetic is so negative, and what goes along with it is actually even worse because then physically you become exhausted and tired, and you really don't want to fulfill that prophecy of being a sick diabetic.
Right, exactly. And so you started to do some research and...
Correct. And I took 100% responsibility for it, which meant like not to blame my parents or anybody else, just basically say I needed the proper education, and I needed to choose faith over fear and not be in denial, so I mentally had to take the steps to bury it. Right,
exactly. Because I think a lot of people do live in fear and maybe even think that diabetes means that, you know, it's going to be a struggle because of the labels that I think the community has sort of put on it.
Right. Society has, and it's been a diabetic label for many, many years, something that's been somewhat of a challenge to change, but I am working on that and trying to help many people mentally bury not just diabetes, but the diabetic label so they can go on and live a really healthy life.
How do you recommend, though, that people then educate themselves about diabetes? I mean, what do you think if somebody's listening to this and saying, you know, I was just diagnosed or I've been struggling with it, what's the first thing that you recommend that they do?
I think it's important to find someone that you can confide in. And I guess as a diabetes consultant is when I sit down with a new client, we talk about what diabetes is. We talk about the diabetic label. We talk about everything as far as their emotions so that we can first mentally bury it before we can move forward with actually taking care of ourselves.
Right. When you write in your book, diabetes did not define who I was. I defined what diabetes was to me. Can you explain that?
Sure. Exactly. Is with diabetes, if you allow diabetes to control you because it is a serious disease, then it can really define you instead of the other way around. When you define what diabetes is to you, you're saying, okay, I'm a human being. I have personality traits and dreams, and this is what I want from my life. Mm-hmm. And diabetes doesn't have to enter that picture.
Well, is there is there something that people, would you say there's a lot of, clearly there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to diabetes, but is there one overarching misconception that you deal with all the time in your consulting?
Yes, and that, of course, is that it's a death sentence and that you're going to die and that these complications are going to happen. And I think that is probably the number one that I hear all the time is that people think, well, I've been told I'm going to go blind. I've been told that this is going to happen. And really, for me, I may have a blood sugar challenge, but actually all of my lab reports show that I'm extremely healthy and that I don't have diabetes.
Oh, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so it's really the way I would live the same lifestyle tomorrow, even if I didn't need to take a small amount of insulin, it wouldn't change anything.
Right, exactly. Now, this is clearly, you have the book and the website. I want to make sure and give out the URL, which is diabetesdoneright.com, and you have a great newsletter, and there's a lot of good information on that website. Tell us a little bit about the work that you do, the one-on-one, if people are curious about that.
What I really do is I want to be there as a support, someone that they can confide in, someone that understands. I've been there, and to help them on their journey so that when they do have questions, and especially the educational part I think is important. Once we get that part right, then we can actually look at the whole lifestyle plan, the foods, and just everything that helps keep the blood sugars in a normal range.
Right, exactly. And you work with people all over the country, or do you work with people just locally?
Actually, now it has, it's not just locally anymore. So it's expanding New York and Oklahoma and different states, Hawaii and Oregon. That's
fantastic. Are there any new developments with regards to diabetes or anything that you see in the future that might be interesting to share with our listeners?
I think it's important for whether it's type 1 or type 2 diabetes is once it's mentally buried, I think you're ready to start the process as far as physically, start taking care of yourself in a healthy way. So I think when your body's ready to get to that point of, because nobody can cure you, your body can only heal itself with the right nutrients and everything. And so I think when you're already mentally there, physically things come together. So
right.
I really see the future very bright.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I do. I really do. Things have only gotten better for me in 29 years.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, of course, a lot of new things have happened, and as we continue to educate ourselves and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you have any future books planned?
I actually don't at this time, but I'm not going to say never because, who knows? There could be another book out there, as my life progresses and as things look brighter, there could possibly be, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's wonderful. Julie, thank you so much for being on the call. I want to make sure and give out your URL again because there's just a ton of information there. diabetesdoneright.com. The book, Diabetes Can Be Sweet Once You Bury It, is available both on your website, at Amazon. And good luck to you with what you're doing and spreading this message that we all need to hear, whether we're affected by it or not. There are just too many misconceptions, and people don't need to know that it's not a death sentence.
Thank you very much, Penny. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being on the show.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.